that have been duped by what's coming through your smartphone or your personal device or TV. It is remarkable what's happening regarding Israel, the Palestinian Hamas issue, world opinion, and the constant volleying that's going back and forth between the Israeli government and the U.S. government. And we're going to be talking about these things tonight. But before we do that, I want to read a portion of Scripture to you that is very, very appropriate. I'm in 1 Thessalonians 5, and I want you to hear this very, very clearly. Paul said to the church in Thessalonica, chapter 5, verse 1, "But concerning the times and the seasons, brethren, you have no need that I should write to you. For you yourselves know," that is a mandate statement, "you don't need to have an alarm go off in the last days because you're going to know something. Something's going to become very obvious. You yourselves will know perfectly that the day of the Lord so comes as a thief in the night. For when they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes upon them, as labor pains upon a pregnant woman, and they shall not escape. But you, brethren," notice the contrast, "they will not escape. They will be tricked. They won't get it. But you," verse 4, "brethren, are not in darkness so that this day should overtake you as a thief. You are all sons of the light and sons of the day. We are not of the night nor of darkness. Therefore, let us not sleep." And I want you to underline that in verse 6, because there's a lot of people sleeping tonight, and it has nothing to do with it being tonight. "As others do, but let us watch and be sober. For those who sleep, sleep at night. And those who get drunk at night." He's talking about sleeping through the culture and sleeping through the warnings. Verse 8, "But let us who are of the day be sober, putting on the breastplate of faith and love, and as a helmet the hope of salvation." Why? "For God did not appoint us to wrath," that is God's judgment being poured out on earth, "but to obtain salvation through our Lord Jesus Christ, who died for us, that whether we wake or sleep, or be alive or dead, we should live together with him. Therefore," verse 11, "comfort each other and edify one another, just as you also are doing." There's some tremendous statements in this great declaration of the Apostle Paul as he's announcing to the Christian, you will not be duped by end-time events coming, because you're going to be plugged into the Bible and you're going to know how to think, you're going to know how to conduct your life, and listen, you will be like the sons of Issachar in the Old Testament. You're going to be able to look at the world events, and in light of your biblical worldview, with Bible open, you're going to be able to judge what you hear. This is normal Christianity, what I'm talking about. Seriously, God help us if we cannot discern the times and the seasons when the Bible tells us you will be able to. And so for us as a church, I'm thankful for you. You are discerning, and you know what the Bible says. But this is unlike any other time, and we're going to talk about these things tonight, unlike any other time that I have seen in my lifetime concerning the stereo events taking place. What I mean by stereo, meaning, and I'm going to miss a bunch, but that's okay, there's just so many. The issue with the rise of Russia, that's a biblical event. Global economic peril, that's a biblical event, all talked about in the Bible. Listen to this. Israel being surrounded by enemies in the last days, that's in the Bible. Listen, the Jews wanting a temple to be built. 2 Thessalonians, it's in the Bible. They're talking about that, and they're pushing it now. All these various events that are taking place. The decline of the United States in its power and the West, why and how is that in the Bible? Because the Bible says in the last days, as we mentioned a few Sundays ago, that when a Muslim coalition that involves the former Soviet Union, Russia, the land of Magog and Tubal, will come against Israel in the last days, all the nations of the world will simply say, why are you doing this? Nobody stops them. And tonight, there is no way, don't kid yourself, there is no way that the United States could do or will do anything regarding Vladimir Putin and Russia. Russia is free to do what it wants to do. This is exactly what weak leadership produces, anarchy globally. And the world is coming unhinged. Why? Because the world believes it can start tampering with what is civil, what is normal. And there's an advent of an Islamic caliphate that is not just sweeping the Middle East. Don't be blinded either. It is happening all around the world right now, from Indonesia all the way to Iran. These are very amazing days, church, that we're living in. And so listen, before we talk to our guest for a moment, I'm going to ask the guys really quick to queue up. Let's go to the map first. I'm going to kind of throw these guys a curveball. Let's go to the map that I gave you guys earlier tonight. And here you go. And this map is now even outdated. All of you look at this map. You see, there's Israel right there. See the green part? That's the size of New Jersey right here. There's Israel. There's Egypt, which right now, by the way, is somewhat cordial to Israel. By the way, that's biblical in the last days. Egypt is somewhat cordial. Egypt will not be in the coming Ezekiel 38 battle. It's not listed. And then, believe it or not, Saudi Arabia is being cordial to Israel right now at this hour. Egypt and Saudi Arabia want America to get out of the factor because these two nations want Hamas completely destroyed. Did you know that? They are encouraging Israel to press on. King Abdullah is fighting for his existence in Jordan. Jordan wants to leave Israel alone. But they're having a tremendous pressure right now from jihadists on the inside that have made their way in from Syria. Here is Iraq. It is tragic to confess, but nearly 5,000 U.S. lives have been lost for nothing. Iraq now falls and has fallen into the hands of Islamicists, and that's history. Syria, unbelievable rampage and division and war among Islamic factions in Syria. When I said the map is outdated, it's because the yellow should also now include Turkey. Turkey, in the last couple of years, has turned hostile towards Israel, but now more than ever, Turkey is absolutely anti-Semitic, and its leader, Erdogan, is committed to shutting Israel down. Libya, just this week, in fact, less than 30 hours ago, Libya has just gotten so dangerous that the United States has shut down the embassy in Libya. We've pulled out completely from that. Tunisia, out of control. Sudan, I don't need to talk about Sudan. Northern Sudan is absolutely under the power of Muslim Islamic terrorists. I need to hurry. This is ridiculous. Yemen, Islamically controlled, violent, dangerous place. You will not be vacationing in Yemen or Oman. You will not, where is Qatar? Right there. Oh, right there. These guys right here, and these guys right here are funding, flowing, sending money to Hamas to get them to destroy Israel, and this should be yellow as well. Why? What's the point? Israel is surrounded. It's all biblical. It's supposed to happen. Christian, you need to know that. It shouldn't surprise you. Now, this is what you've been seeing. The first slide, you guys, this is what you've been seeing, and I want you to know this. This is all over the world press. First of all, let me say this. We are very sad, and I do not condone, and I do not in any way revel in this child's pain. Do you understand that? I want you to hear that loud and clear. This is pathetic. This is terrible. Okay, but you're hearing on the news that Israel did this to her. Okay, next slide. Whose heart will not bleed over this situation? This is disgusting. You should do everything possible, look, it's war. There's always collateral damage, but you should do everything you possibly can to keep children from being injured or damaged in any way, shape, or form. Next slide. When the little ones get to be a certain age, this is what they can be looking forward to regarding Hamas in the south and Hezbollah in the north. And it's for those of you who have the stomach, go on YouTube and you can watch these things in horrific graphic detail. Next slide. These are young kids. This is normal, ladies and gentlemen, in the Hamas Hezbollah culture. Normal. It's taught in their schools, which, are you sitting down? You and I fund their schooling, which includes this type of teaching. By the way, doubt what I just said. Don't believe a word I just said right there. You go find out if that's true. Next slide. They're learning how to assemble and dismantle assault rifles in their mid-teens. Let me ask you, if you were to ask them, what do you intend to do with this knowledge? And by the way, again, you can go online and you can watch them. You can go to various websites and they'll translate it into English. Do you know what they're learning this for? They all say the exact same thing. To kill every Jew they come in contact with. Next slide. Nice signs, by the way. Nice font, nice printing in English. Crush Israel, hate America. Usually it's death to America, death to Israel. By the way, this is known as the Great Satan in Islam. Okay, and this is its child, they say. They've tried to remove this for a long time and it doesn't work. So now for 50 years they've been going after this. They've been very successful. But never no more successful than what's going on right now in this current war. Is that the last one or is there one more? I forget. Okay, death to America, death to Israel. These are Islamic fighters. Death to you. Listen, if they could get their hands on you, you'd be dead. You will, but not me, I'm nice. If you're in the United States, you are the enemy to them. Next slide. Israel, your days are numbered. For world peace, Israel must be destroyed. Think about that for a moment. I had videos I wanted to show you tonight, and I was talked out of it. Probably a good thing. No, you couldn't handle it. I mean, it was Christians being crucified in Mosul. Crucified to death, not 1, not 10, not 100. For those they didn't crucify, they had them get on their hands and knees and they put 45s either in their mouth or in the back of their heads. Christians. Why? This is the march of Islam. Islam believes worldwide that the caliphate, now's the time. The destruction of Israel and the destruction of the United States will lead to the Islamic caliphate, which the crescent moon of Islam, some you see closed and some you see open. The closed symbol is when Islam rules the world. That's their goal. It's not going to happen, but they don't know that. They believe. You say, well, I don't believe it's going to happen. It doesn't matter. They believe it's going to happen. And so this is a very, very remarkable time in which you and I live in. And I know Washington, D.C. is just a little less than 3,000 miles from here. But if you were to go there today and see the presence and support for Hamas and Hezbollah in our nation's capital, you'd be shocked. There is a global, worldwide push and effort that has been very effective in getting the world to turn against Israel. Ladies and gentlemen, for the record in this church, I don't care if I speak to any other people anywhere else, it's you I'm concerned about. Let's remember this. This battle has been going on since May 14th, 1948. Because Israel exists. And what's happening is in exact correlation and agreement with the Muslim Brotherhood Charter, which you need to go read on your own in English. In the Muslimhood Charter, Barack Obama has 5 senior officers or advisors who work for him who are Muslim Brotherhood members. Look them up. Qatar, Turkey, fund Muslim Brotherhood. Muslim Brotherhood in America sponsors MSA, the Muslim Student Assembly or the Muslim Student Association on your campus. In their charter, it says that Israel must be destroyed and all Jews. So what's going on? I am going to try to get another perspective. Hopefully I'll do this right.
Hello?
Amir.
Yes, how are you?
I'm good. Amir, we hope that this all works fine, and if not, I'll do my best to call you back, so you won't have to dial back. I'll call you back. But listen, first of all, tell us briefly what it's like to be in Israel right now. What's it like to be there, and how did this crazy thing start?
Well, as you all remember, everything started a few weeks ago with the abduction of 3 Israeli teenagers, and Israel, of course, realized only once we found their bodies that they were executed about 15 minutes later. But throughout the time of the search for the bodies, we rounded and arrested a lot of Hamas operatives, simply because we knew that this is a Hamas operation. Hamas felt that Israel is becoming very aggressive with all the arrests, and so they decided this is the right time to start another round of violence. And they started launching roughly 100 rockets per day. Now, Israel showed restraint, and we asked them to stop, and we actually said that if they will stop, we will not retaliate. We gave them a couple days, and then once again we said we will answer with no fire if you will hold your arms. They actually escalated it, thinking that Israel will be too embarrassed, and they had no clue that Israel is too serious. That reminds me of what Hassan Nasrallah from Hezbollah said in 2006. He said that had he known that Israel would respond in such a way, he would have not started this whole thing from the very beginning. Well, Hamas started it, and they won't stop, so Israel had to start an air campaign, where for the first 7-8 days we just had attacks from the air, trying to convince them to stop. They wouldn't stop. In fact, the thing that was the last straw was a group of 13 Hamas terrorists that infiltrated through a tunnel into an Israeli kibbutz right next to the border. Throughout the fight, we managed to kill all of them, but they killed 2 Israeli soldiers. But that woke us up to understand that if we found the Iron Dome to respond and to actually protect the Israeli skies from the rockets, we have absolutely no answer to the hundreds of tunnels that Hamas has been digging for the last few years. And Israel decided that if that's the case, there is absolutely no other choice but to have a ground invasion into Gaza.
Now, Amir,
yes.
Listen, when you say tunnel, when you say tunnel to an American, that's what we dig at the beach when we're playing with our kids. You're talking about a tunnel.
I'm talking about something that is 5 foot to 6 foot tall, and it's about 30 to 40 feet under the ground. So you're talking about shafts that are coming from the surface down, and then they go horizontally all the way towards Israel. And every large tunnel that is about 1 to 2, sometimes even 3 miles long, has some offshoots, some branches. So if you think that the terrorists can enter only from one place, you're wrong. They could enter into the tunnel from different places at different stages along the way. Now, the reason why we couldn't see those tunnels being dug is because the main entrance is inside houses, kindergartens, mosques, inside hospitals, clinics, and playgrounds. So, you can't really do anything.
Right. Hey, now Amir, you hit something that we need to talk about. In the West, and for that matter, the world, Israel is this, which is amazing to me. I mean, the neighborhood is so huge and so rich with oil and so big and mean, but Israel's the bully here. Israel's the bad guy here because Israel is shooting and blowing up innocent children, Amir, right? They're blowing up innocent children in schools, and that's what the world is being told right now. Tell us about what's in those schools and how is it that Israel winds up, or does Israel inflict pain against these kids? In other words, tell us what's really happening regarding these schools.
Well, you have to understand something. Israel probably is the most humane military on planet Earth. And the reason why I'm saying that is nowhere in the history of warfare has an army of one country supplied food, electricity, hospitals, and medical care to the enemy. That's the first thing. Second, at no point in history, an army that was about to bomb the enemy dropped leaflets first from the sky asking innocent people to leave, then made phone calls and text messages asking the people to leave, then what we call the roof knocker, knock on the roof. We would send a little tiny rocket that makes no damage just to scare them so they can leave, and only then we will drop the bomb after we have a drone with a camera that makes sure that most people, if not all, left. Now, we have to understand that even, and I was at the airbase just a couple days ago watching those videos, and the commander of the squadron told me that they are so disturbed by targets that might have civilians that when we are launching the real rocket, the real bomb, we can still laser guide the bomb away from the target while it's on its way if we find some innocent civilians suddenly walking out of the house or around the house.
Right.
Now, casualties are in large numbers only for one reason. This time, everything, I'm talking about the piles of rockets, the launches of the rockets, as well as the tunnels, are all located in civilian places.
Yeah.
Now, Hamas is not letting the civilians leave. We are not going to let them continue launching rockets, so we have to drop the bombs.
Right. You guys, for those of you who are not aware of what the tactic is, not only does Israel, in fact, I've been to many air-based visits in Israel, and I've watched attacks that had gone on previously in a briefing room on film. And Israel sends these warning shots that Amir was talking about. They're a rocket. It's like a flash bomb, but it's overhead. And tragically, you'll see goats and sheep run, but you don't see humans run. Why is that the case? Because Hamas believes, which Nancy Pelosi said yesterday, Hamas is a humanitarian organization. Hamas, on film, ladies and gentlemen, will take children, their own kids, in the streets, whatever. They will grab the children and use them as shields as they are both shooting or launching rockets. Why? Listen, everybody, why would they do that? Why does Hamas and Hezbollah use women and children as shields when they're engaged in warfare. Why would they do it? Why would they do it? They do it because they know that that's a deterrent to Israel. Use your first grade psychology here, ladies and gentlemen. If Hamas uses a child in front of him to shoot at you, number one, you know a whole lot. Number one, you know that your enemy, Israel, has a hard time shooting children. Thus, you grab a child. Makes sense? Come on, people. You got that? Number two, it also speaks about your worldview and your value of life. You don't value life, so you'll take an innocent, indefensible child and dispose of them. Why? Because that's how you're brought up, and that's your religion, and that's the way it is. Think for a moment. The world tonight outside these walls they're not thinking. They're not thinking. And we've seen this time and time again. Yes, Amir.
Yesterday, the leader of the Hamas military wing, obviously he's underground, he released a tape, an audio tape, and he literally said, "We want death. We love death. Death is our mission." They sanctify death while we sanctify life. Mm-hmm. And that is a huge difference. Now, don't ever sell me that idea that we worship the same God. When we have in Deuteronomy 30, God says to Moses, "Here I put before you evil and good, life and death. Choose life."
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Well, okay, Amir, what's explain to us from your end. By the way, we've been very blessed here in the States lately to be hearing from Michael Oren, who's been just a great champion for Israel, and he's been all over the media, all the news outlets, doing a great job for your country. But tell us, Amir, in your opinion, why is world opinion tonight as it is against Israel? Why would the world be so vehement against Israel at this moment?
Yeah, well, there's two levels to that answer. The first level is, of course, I believe that there is a satanic blindness caused by Satan himself. The Bible says in Isaiah 14 that he is the one who weakens the nations. Yep. And in the book of Revelation 20, the Bible says that he is all about to go and deceive the nations. So Satan deceives the nations, weakens the nations, and blinds the nations. However, the tactic is very simple. How do you deceive someone? By not telling him the truth, by telling him a lie. Now, the lie is that first of all, we started this, and we are targeting civilians. We're targeting civilians. Now, you have to understand that all the coverage, the media coverage, and I've been watching CNN and Sky and BBC, and I've been even listening to radio stations, even in the U.S., all day long broadcast is from inside Gaza, showing the misery and the pain of the people of Gaza. Now, they don't mention who brought that thing upon them, only the devastation and the problem caused by the Israeli attack. Now, it's very simple. We've been telling them, if you stop shooting, we will not attack. It's very simple. Nobody's addressing that issue. Nobody's saying anything about it. And unfortunately, that trend starts infiltrating into not beyond the media. Now it's the celebrities. We are seeing some celebrities that are tweeting "Free Palestine." It has become a viral thing. Now everybody's talking about Free Palestine, help the children there. Nobody cares about the reasons. Nobody wants facts to confuse them. And that's the tactic of the enemy. The tactic is to give you pictures of one side, to work on your emotions, and to completely distract you from what the issue is all about and how it all even started and how it can end. By the way, for the last 3 weeks, we said yes to almost 5 different broker deals for ceasefire. In other words, we were always ready to stop if they will stop shooting missiles. Well, a couple days ago, we thought that they finally got the message, and they stopped, and throughout the day, they did not shoot anything. And what we did not know is that they were doing so in order to cause us to sleep a little bit. And then came a massive attack of both mortar shells that killed 4 Israeli soldiers, and then another group of terrorists using another tunnel infiltrated and killed 5 Israeli soldiers and tried to drag one of the bodies of the soldier so they can later on negotiate on how, to bring it back for some prisoners released in exchange of that. So you're seeing they tried everything, from the air, from the sea, from under the ground, from above the ground. They keep failing. But all that people are looking at and focusing on is the suffering of the innocent, poor Palestinians. Trust me, the last thing we want is to hurt that population. We are investing more effort and more energy in trying to avoid these things. You and I know that the Israeli military has the capability of wiping out Gaza within 20 minutes if we really wanted. That's absolutely not our goal. But world media is definitely shaping world opinion. Well, we see also a trend in South America. Brazil called back its ambassador, El Salvador, Bolivia, one after the other. They're calling back their ambassadors. And unfortunately, their media is even more one-sided than the CNN. It's just horrific.
Yeah, you mentioned South America. That is something that I think is going to wake up Americans
Correct.
Perhaps the fastest, because much of South America and Central America is under control of the drug cartels, but there are those who control the drug cartels. And those drug cartels traffic in the drugs, which originate in the Middle East. And Islamic, look, the Hezbollah in Colombia, for example, has a huge presence. Why?
In Venezuela, they have a huge, also huge presence.
Because the target is North America, the United States. Amir, I want to talk to you about something now that's pretty fresh, in the sense that when it became very clear to the West that Netanyahu's committed to not making this mistake that happened in the mid-2000s, 2006, 2008 time, that he's going to take this through until Hamas is destroyed. And you guys now have almost 100% of your population in favor of his leadership and finishing the job. As soon as that came out here in the West, immediately our administration went into panic mode, and the first act was for John Kerry to fall all over himself and to make incredibly ridiculous statements that now since have gotten him in trouble. And now he's trying to do damage control against himself, literally. But there's something that happened recently that probably few people know of. It's not that it's secret, but can you say anything, Amir, about how Obama has been siding with Enderun
Yeah.
in Turkey,
Yeah,
and specifically
yes,
regarding
yes.
the Iron Dome, the pressure
Yeah.
to punish you guys monetarily.
Yes. First of all, I want to tell you that if I look from the side at what's going on right now, it is fascinating. What we're seeing in the last 2 weeks is that America completely switch-sided. And I'm not saying that as an Israeli. I'm saying that as an observer who is looking and hearing voices not only from Israel. For example, Egypt brokered a ceasefire. Egypt invited Israel and the Palestinians to sit and talk. In separate rooms, of course. But still, these are the two sides that need to agree. Well, John Kerry went all the way to Paris and invited the foreign minister of Qatar and the foreign minister of Turkey.
Yeah.
He did not invite Israel, nor the Palestinians or the Egyptians, and these are the three sides that are in the center of the whole problem. Now, Qatar is the financial sponsor of Hamas, and Turkey is the mentor of Hamas. And so the paper that was produced from that meeting was a paper that Hamas is now using to say, finally, America understands our needs and our positions. Now, I cannot even believe that I'm saying that America, that called Hamas a terrorist organization, is now representing Hamas. It's unthinkable. And guess who are the people that are sitting around the table?
Yeah.
That's Turkish and Qatar, and behind the scenes, Iran is dictating also the moves. So if we were thinking a few years ago that when Ezekiel 38 and 39 should come to pass, and of course America is not there to stand by Israel, we're looking at it right now. Now the interesting thing is a new coalition was formed in the Middle East. A coalition of Israel, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Jordan. And all these countries are not mentioned
That's
as
right.
part of Israel, of course, in Ezekiel 38 attack on
That's
Israel.
amazing. That's right.
So what we're looking at right now is the complete finalization of the stage for Ezekiel's prophecy to come to pass.
Okay, Amir, listen, we're going to have to, we need to cover some more ground, but we're running out of time. I want to go back to what you just said a moment ago. I love it. But you missed some countries there, and let's talk about those for a moment. If we know the nations named in Ezekiel for this battle, and we do, they're named there in Ezekiel, clearly. And then, as you just said, there are some nations not mentioned, and we know even from other prophetic scriptures that they will be friends to Israel.
Exactly.
But Lebanon and Syria are not mentioned in either side.
Correct. And I'll tell you why. First of all, I've always believed, and I still hold on to that opinion, that the fall of Damascus will be the trigger for Ezekiel 38 to come to pass. In other words, Syria is not mentioned because Syria will be the reason. The fall of Damascus will be the reason for Russia to rush in and for all the others, and I'm talking about Iran, I'm talking about Libya, I'm talking about Turkey, Sudan, all of those to join them. And we see that it's coming to pass. All of those things are just coming into formation before our very eyes right now. Now, make no mistake, besides the Israeli-Arab conflict in the Middle East, there is a Shiite-Sunni conflict in the Middle East.
Right.
And these are the two conflicts that are shaping and forming the Middle East towards Ezekiel's prophecy to come to pass.
Yes. Very, very good. Okay, Amir, with the time that we have, remaining. What do you see? We would like to know from your part of the world, from your perspective, what's your gut feel? Where is this going? Will Netanyahu, will they finish this job? Can Israel handle a full U.S. withdrawal, meaning we'll pull our money, we'll pull our support? What do you see Israel doing in the near future?
I will probably disappoint you by saying that I foresee that in the next 5-6 days we will have to pull out from Gaza, and not because I want to. I think Israelis are completely united in the need to bring Hamas to an end. However, we have a saying that the devil that you know is better than the devil that you don't know.
Right.
And since ISIS comes to power in that part of the world, I believe that Hamas, after what they are suffering right now, will stay quiet for a few years, and that for Israel is better off than having complete chaos that will bring about the rise of ISIS in Gaza. And that's what Egypt is fearing, and Jordan is fearing. Mm-hmm. Jordan and Egypt are not afraid of Hamas.
That's right.
But they're all afraid of ISIS. And they will push us not to completely annihilate Hamas, because it's still better off and controllable and manageable than ISIS, which is probably the most cruel and vicious group of people that live on planet Earth right now.
Yeah, they're animals. Possessed, I believe.
I mean, you've seen the videos of their execution.
Yeah. Listen, Amir, we're going to let you go. We're going to start wrapping up here. So we appreciate you. Stay safe.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
God bless you.
I love you all. God bless you, and keep praying.
You too, brother.
Thanks.
Well, you guys, as he closing out mentioning ISIS, ISIS is a bizarre group that has come seemingly out of nowhere. I mean, a couple months ago, you'd never heard of them. But yet, they have risen to power so much that even other groups in the region fear them. They are the wealthiest terrorist organization and the most ruthless. I believe, from what I've seen, that they are demon-possessed, because you don't do this to other human beings. I don't think a human can do this to another human unless there's some demonic power, because it's beyond your imagination to do the type of torture stuff that you can see. But these guys are on the rise, and they've got the Middle East. The Middle East is, you guys look, if you removed Israel right now from the scene, you know from the prophecy that God gave the descendants of Ishmael. Do you remember what the prophecy was? Every one of his brethren will take a sword against his own brother's throat. And even if Israel wasn't there, they would still kill each other. That's what these two factions, these two positions of Islam